GGBR aqui no Videogames Live, esse evento anual tão lindo, tão maravilhoso. A gente entrevistou o Russel Browel, diretor de áudio da Blizzard, e o cara é incrível. Dá uma olhada na entrevista e também no Videogames Live desse ano. Beijo! I would like to think that all the great composers like Mozart, they would be composing for games if they were born today. Do you think that the gaming is bringing the classical music again to newer audiences?
Absolutely. I think one of the most amazing experiences that all of us are having in this industry is to bring families and young people back to see the symphony, and for the players to hear the response from the audience. I don't think they're necessarily used to that, and it's really exciting to feel that feedback loop form between the audience and the players, and in my case when I'm conducting, it's a privilege.
What is the creative process to writing songs for video games? It must be very different from another medium.
It's different for each composer. A lot of people ask, how is it different from composing for film or something like that? And that difference has diminished over the years because story and characterization, character development has become very much more prominent in games than it used to be. So that part, the storytelling part, has been, that's the same now. In every medium. So in games it's more about the technical differences, how the music is presented and what triggers it, what about an encounter or a quest line in World of Warcraft causes a certain piece of music to play. So there's some technical challenges there. But now we're at a stage where it's good musical storytelling, and I grew up loving music that told a story. So I think today's game music will influence people just like film music did for me.
Games now, they have different environments, especially in MMOs. People just walk, you don't have to enter a room, so things don't change, you know? It's fluidity. So how do you compose for that, you know?
That's one of the big technical challenges. What you hear depends on where you're standing, and that could change, and we don't necessarily know where people are going to go. When we want to get their attention, we have several things that we do, and it's probably, you'd have to pick a specific situation to really delve into it and explain it. But I will say that one of our most important things, ironically enough, is silence. One of the best tools is to know when to play no music at all, so that when the music does play, you're really saying something and not just putting up musical wallpaper everywhere. So that's been a significant challenge and one of the approaches we've taken.
Você não está preparado.
All games use like two composers, I think, as main inspiration, like Wagner for characters and Mahler, you know, for creating moods and etc. So what are your references or influencers?
Well, you just mentioned too that I associate with epic and bold music, and Blizzard Entertainment certainly is known for being epic and bold. But I think one way that you make that happen is by contrasts. I'm as much of a fan of Debussy and people like that who did all kinds of even more subtle music, because if the music is that big all the time, it becomes fatiguing and ceases to have meaning. So if you have reached the climax of a big boss encounter in World of Warcraft, and if the music is helping that adrenaline and making it more exciting for you as a player, probably we have been playing something much more subtle for contrast before then, because I think all art, it's like light versus shadow, it's loud versus soft, it's a game of contrasts.
Games are for everybody, so today is more like a mass media thing. Do you think that there's some room for references like Stockenhausen or, I don't know, some more modern composers?
Well, each of us I love certain things the violin can do, especially on the G string. If you play a melody on the G string, there's a different sound than on any of the other three strings. And you collect these little devices, these little, I call them just colors in my palette. And so when we create a new race, for instance, which we've done 4 times since I've been working on World of Warcraft, we draw upon all of that collected memory to see, well, what can we do? And in my case, I wrote for Burning Crusade the music for the Blood Elves. And I got this concept early on. It struck me that the Blood Elves were both beautiful and they had a very tragic backstory. So I used solo cello to represent them, because cello to me is one of the most beautiful instruments ever, but it also is capable of sounding very melancholy. When that connection was made, subtle as it is, it made the rest of the music sort of just flow. It suddenly became much easier to complete that series of scores.
With games you can do like the Blood Elves, and then you can do like a big, great giant dragon that comes out from the earth. So for you, what's the favorite things? What do you really like to do more? You have to give me at least 2.
I am very, I'm just my personality. I'm very emotional, so I tend to like to do the more emotional stuff. There are other people at Blizzard who write maybe some of the more, what would be the word? Fantastical stuff, or funny things, or things with a sense of humor. I tend to write the more emotional stuff. So, like, in the show, you'll hear "Lament of the Highborn," which is very important to me and carries a lot of emotional messaging with it, and as well as "Invincible" that we used to close the story of Arthas and the Lich King. And again, even though I wrote my parts of those based on all the story that had come long before I joined Blizzard, I threw in, my own life experience. I think all artists do that.
Last question, and it's very important for the community: Horde or Alliance?
It is my job to play both, because we have to be able to write for all the races and all the classes. Yeah, I know my NPC is an Alliance character, which that was the work of Chris Metzen and the designers, which I thank them for. I was very honored to have that. But yeah, I play them both.
But he has an NPC on the Alliance, Go Alliance for all of you that are Alliance, not my case.